Hello and welcome to a very special episode of SOFA SENSEI'S on the akhi&saltfish digital network. You're joined by me, Kavan, and today we have a very special guest. He is a boxer, goes by the name of Luke Herdman. Is there a nickname?
No, just
Luke Herdman. He's a unit, as you can tell. He's our first heavyweight on SOFA SENSEI'S, and I tell you what, he's got a story I cannot wait to share with you. We're talking about fighting Joe Joyce. We're talking about fighting Anthony Joshua, and then we're talking about Luke Herdman 2.0 and what his visions are now for the heavyweight division, including him. So, without further ado, let's get stuck in. This is SOFA SENSEI'S on the akhi&saltfish digital network. Let's go. So, first of all, Luke, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. A bit tired, but I'm all right.
Yeah, been a long day training?
Yeah, I've done a bit of training today. Yeah, I've done some sprints. And,
Damn.
That's about it, really. So,
Sprints are painful. I've seen some steps on your story. Was that today?
Yeah, I've done the steps today, yeah.
Talk us through the steps. What are the steps?
They're at Sywell Country Park.
Okay, are those...
So I've been training there for a year, and then my boys, they come to stay with me a couple of weeks back, and we're walking round, and they said, "Oh, Dad, look at them steps." And I looked at them and I thought, how come I ain't seen them for a year? Like, you know, I've been walking around there for a year and ain't seen them. So now I'm doing the steps, running up the steps, and obviously it's doing me good because normal jogging, obviously, as I'm getting older, and not so much heavier, but it's harder on my body doing normal running. So doing the incline steps is actually easier and better for me. So
There's a few heavyweights that seem to like that sprinting style as opposed to running. I know David Hay, he hated the long runs. He was much more of a sprinter. And I suppose that reflects in his fighting style as well, that explosiveness. Is that the same for you, that explosiveness in your style?
well, that's as I'm getting older. Obviously, I've only just started boxing again, so I'm working on more of the explosive stuff than more of the stamina. I've sort of got the stamina, but I need to relax more in the ring and do more explosive stuff and get through the rounds because of my age, you know. So
Yeah, we'll get into that as well. 2.0.
Yeah.
So what was your first introduction into boxing?
My first fight was when I was 20 years old, and obviously the reason I started fighting is because I was going to end up in prison because I was always fighting on the street, and obviously in our household it was all up and down with my mum and dad and that, you know. So my mum and dad were always arguing and fighting, and then I got really angry as a kid, and then I used to end up fighting on the street all the time. So getting arrested every weekend, and then my dad got hold of me and said, "Listen, you're going to start fighting." I really didn't have a choice, and I was good at it, you know. And then obviously my first fight was 20, and I stopped this guy. He was a travelling guy, and I beat him first round when I was 20.
Wow.
First amateur fight. Yeah.
That's a hell of a start.
Yeah.
When we're talking as well about, you mentioned he was a traveller guy, there's a lot of boxers that come from a travelling background, and they're tough. They're tough guys.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're good. They're good.
And to stop one in the first round is an achievement. What did that make you feel like? Is that like, okay, this is for me, or did you feel like...
Well, I didn't like fighting. I only done it because my dad wanted me to do it.
Right.
So, and even up until the point of me obviously boxing and getting to a higher level, I messed around at the sport when I was younger. So I wasn't dedicated. I wasn't disciplined. I never believed in myself. I never achieved what I should have achieved because I was doing it because my dad wanted me to do it, you know. But he taught me well, and my ability through like genetics, because my dad was a good fighter, I sort of managed to get through, survive basically in there. That's all it was really, was survival mode and my natural ability to box.
What did your dad want from you out of boxing? Was it any amateur titles, professional titles, or was it just the outlet?
He knew that I could go world to the top, but I never believed it. So
Why do you think you didn't have that belief in yourself?
because I was always messing around with drugs and getting into, you know, I started then selling drugs when I was at that age as well, and I only stopped selling drugs in 2016. So I was heavily involved in the criminal world and you know, selling cocaine and drugs and stuff like that, and then eventually getting hooked on it, you know. So, so yeah, so that's why I never achieved what I should have, you know.
So at this juncture, then, was boxing a constant throughout those decisions? You were talking about selling drugs and taking drugs eventually. Was boxing on the back burner at that point, or was it still part of your life?
No, it was, obviously I'd win one fight and then I'd go missing and then end up breaking my hands, or I don't know. There was always something that stopped me reaching my full potential, and I just didn't want it, you know. I was just doing it to, like I said, to please my dad and trying to get him off my case, you know. And then I'd have this emotion, like I'd have this impulsive emotion, like, oh yeah, I'll start fighting again, get fit, you know, on a decision on impulse, you know, get fit, then have another fight, leave it alone. So I'd have one fight every 2-3 years, and then, you know, I wasn't consistent.
So we've had a few boxers on this show, and every time they talk about how boxing is so closely knit to their identity. It doesn't sound like boxing was part of your identity at this point. What was your identity at this time?
When I was younger, I didn't. It's just a reputation for being a drug dealer and a sort of a nutcase, basically. I mean, I was quite wild, very wild in my area in London. You know what I mean? Like, so I had, you know, I've still got a reputation now. So, you know, it was to get a reputation for myself in on the street. That was my goal.
Did boxing help with that, or was it the other things that?
Not at all. I mean, in my dad's eyes, it was supposed to help, but no, I wasn't. My heart wasn't in it at all.
Fair enough.
But I done well, you know, and I managed to box Anthony Joshua and Joe Joyce, and it's just a miracle that I got in there with them. And
let's jump straight into that then.
Yeah, go on then.
So if we could start with AJ.
Yeah.
You fought him when I think he was about 13-1 as an amateur?
No, he had 17.
17 fights.
17 fights, yeah. That was I won I was in the ABAs twice, novice ABAs, got to the final and got beat. That was about 4 years before AJ. And then, obviously, you know, tried to rehabilitate myself again with boxing, and got fit, sparring, never as fit as I am now. And then went into the ABAs, because you obviously have to apply, go into the ABAs. And I'll be honest with you, what it was is there wasn't, the ABAs was not doing very well. There's not a lot of heavyweights about.
Yeah.
And there's obviously there's 3 stages, like you fight, and then you got quarterfinals, semi-finals, and then the finals. And basically, I got a bye to the final. So do you know what I mean? So I watched Anthony Joshua fight in the semi-finals, and obviously they draw it out of a hat. Who's going to win? Who's going to box in the final?
So you just got straight in.
Yeah. So I had to watch Anthony Joshua beat someone first, and then I got to I was already in the final.
Sweet. Fast track.
Fast track. Yeah. But obviously there was promoters already there offering him money. They knew he was going to be something special then, you know.
Did you know at that point that this guy's going to be?
Because I've been out the boxing scene for like quite a while, because I was off my head, you know. So I didn't really know about him. My coach did, and there was a guy called Harry Holland there. He's a professional. He was Julius Francis. He was his manager, and he was in my corner as well. And he said, "Listen, Luke, the guy's going to be a world champion, like, you know." He said, "But if you know, because I didn't want to fight him, and I was gonna. Funny enough, my wife got put in prison the week before, so my head was all over the place."
Yeah.
He said, "But go in there and give it a crack, and he said, in years to come, you'll say you fought a world champion." And that's his exact words that he said to me before I got in there.
Mystic trainer right there.
Oh, yeah. So I went in there, give it my best shot. He didn't really hurt me in the first round. I was boxing well, and then in the second round he caught me with a shot. He got the ump about something. I can't remember. It's on the video, and then right at the end of the second round, you know, he goes all guns blazing.
Yeah.
And then Peter Matthews, who's passed away now, he chucked the towel in. So I got stopped at the end of the second round.
So at that point, did you think then after fighting him that he's going to be something special, or was it just another fight?
This is a funny thing. Like, I've done a little talk about it today. Like, no, I didn't, and I didn't want him to either. Yeah. So over the years of me being a drug addict, because my drug problem got worse from then,
Right.
real bad. And then so I'd always watch his fights and think, he ain't gonna win.
Yeah.
And he just progressed and become world champion, and I've become an absolute down and out drug addict.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think the drug addiction was fueled by the losses and but not just the losses themselves, but the fact that you didn't commit yourself and then lost? Do you think that's reinforcing those messages in your mind about worth and belief and?
Yeah, like obviously I started taking cocaine when I was 20, and then in 2016, obviously, I believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously that's my faith, and God saved me. Like, it's a miracle. Like, so I never knew nothing about Jesus, and so Jesus saved my life in 2016. Yeah, I mean, my drug habit just got worse, and then I was hooked on crack cocaine for 5 years as well. So, it was terrible. You know, I was living in a little room and had nothing. You know, so, and then I'd watch them progress. Even Joe Joyce, you know,
Yeah.
Joe Joyce was like, I beat him really. He got the decision, but yeah. So like. So looking back at it all, I've always had on my conscience, you know, and they progressed further than the ABAs. They went to the Olympics and everything else, but I could have done that if I had the dedication and commitment like you. All I had to do was be in that era. I didn't have to be a world champion. You look at Chisora and these hangabouts that are multi-millionaires, and they're not even that great. I just had to keep fit, keep dedicated, and just be in that era of boxing, and would have done something special. You know,
Chisora's resilience, if you will, and his ability to stick around the sport is seriously admirable. Because you're right, he's not that special.
No, but but that's what I'm saying. Like, when you keep out of sport and you just commit to it, you go through them hard fights, you do all the sparring, and you're in the mix, and you just stick at it. It becomes. It's not a big thing, you know. So, and it's like now I've just had 2 fights in 2 months. Yeah. And I just need to keep at it. You know, even at my age, I just got to keep at it, and that's what they've done. They kept at it. And become world class, you know. Yeah. So that like I said, that was always. I always had a low self worth and thought, do you know what, and kicked myself for years because I knew that I could have become something special, you know.
And I think some of the things that reinforce that feeling of what you definitely could have been would be the Joe Joyce fight. You know,
that was I mean, I look at that and I see where he's gone with it, and especially when. You know, he didn't even hit me once, like really.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's a bit disturbing. You know what I mean? Yeah, because like, you know, that's a bit disturbing. But good luck to him. You know what I mean? You know, God bless him. You know, but
if we rewind 4 weeks ago, Joe Joyce was the boogeyman of the division. He was the man that the conversations were saying. Yeah, the conversations were saying Wilder doesn't want to get in there with him because Wilder won't crack his chin. Usyk will get ran through by Joe Joyce. Anthony Joshua wouldn't stand a chance, but this Anthony Joshua wouldn't stand a chance against this Joe Joyce. Then we saw the introduction of Big Bang Zhili Zhang, who exposed the speed deficiencies in Joe Joyce. Now, Joe Joyce has always been slow, but up until now, people couldn't exploit that. Yeah. But then Zhang came in and could exploit that, and actually had Joe Joyce on wobbly legs once, which we'd never seen before as well. And it's that southpaw style as well that seemed to have caught Joe Joyce off guard. But then again, people do say Joe Joyce came in too light for that fight. You don't know. I don't know what that, you know, if that is the case or not. But I think what's interesting is Joe Joyce has always been beatable, but it shows you the power of a marketing machine where they can build him up as this juggernaut who's unbeatable.
A cash cow.
Exactly that.
Yeah, like
exactly that.
Golden goose.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, yes, yeah, and that's exactly what it is. But you know, it's like my dad says to me, you know, speed. Every great fighter had speed.
Yeah.
You know, speed and could defend, and you can't become world class because you take too many shots. I mean, like, oh yeah, because I can take a punch, I'm going to go to the top. No,
that's not a game plan.
No, that's not a game plan. And obviously, he realised, you know, but what a silly fight to take.
Yeah, at this time as well.
Yeah.
When he was mandatory, if he just waited.
Yeah. But you know, that's what I mean. Like, it's just, and there's no comeback from that.
You don't think so?
No.
Rematch?
No way. There's no comeback from a defeat like that.
Yeah.
It's shocking. Like when you get beat in that way, and obviously he couldn't. You know, he got hit three times with the same punch. I mean, who can't? Why can't you defend a shot? It's just there's no promoter or no man. No one's going to promote that. No one's going to. That's it. It's done.
Do you know what's funny as well? When you say you got hit with the same punch 3 times, thinking back to a week later after that fight, Gervonta Davis, if you throw the same combination at him 2 or 3 times, he's cleaning you out.
You'll change your way.
Yeah.
If you get hit once and you have to recuperate and change the way you box, you know.
So obviously, you know, you're of the view that you beat Joe Joyce that night, but he got the decision on the cards. Do you think there's anything to that in the sense that people knew he was going to be this golden goose later on, or was that just the way boxing works?
No. Joe Joyce is totally different to Andy Joshua. There was a thing on Instagram the other day. I think it's Joe's the ginger haired guy. I don't know who's behind.
His manager or something like that.
I don't know who he is, but I saw it on Instagram, and everyone's like slating Andy Joshua, saying that Joe Joyce is going to walk through him, and I just put on there like, hold up, like I boxed both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Andy Joshua is a dangerous fighter, and he ain't finished. He's no way near finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's come back to that.
Andy Joshua is not. He's being very wise right now, and he's nowhere from finished. And Joe Joyce, he didn't threaten me. I didn't get harmed once in the fight. I know it's only 3-2, it's amateur, yeah.
Yeah.
But Andy Joshua is hard, totally different league. So then I put on there. I said, "Look, hold on, I boxed them, both of them, like," and they all slating me. Who's this guy?
Instagram's always
don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then the next week he gets beat, you know, badly. So
You mentioned Joshua there, and Joshua's not done.
no way.
And now, what are we saying? What year is it now? 6 years ago, Joshua fought Klitschko. And that was obviously, I'd probably say, Joshua's best name on his resume. Great fight, fantastic fight. I'd probably say one of the last aggressive Joshuas we saw as well. But of course, he was fighting a 41-year-old Vladimir Klitschko, who, up until then, bar Tyson Fury, of course, had gone 10 years undefeated. There is still loads of time for AJ to replicate such a run like Vladimir. So you say he's not done. Tell us why he's not done.
Because he's a great fighter. You know, he's got. You know, he's fast. He's sharp. He's, you know, when he sees someone's hurt, he finishes them off very quickly. He's a great finisher, and because he's got to the top and had a couple of defeats against Usyk. I mean, in the last fight he boxed against Usyk, he boxed really well.
Yeah,
he changed his whole style, adapted. He was moving his head, and he done the 12 rounds and lost on points, but he boxed well.
Yeah.
And everyone's like saying he's done. Well, he didn't get knocked out. He didn't. He just lost on points. And this last fight he's just had, he could have opened up at any time, I believe, and dealt with the other guy. I can't remember his name now, the American guy. But you know, it's his first fight back, and he just wanted to go through the motions. And why wouldn't you? You know, you ain't been in the ring for a long time. You want to get the rounds under your belt. You know what I mean? So I don't think he's done.
It's that self-belief thing again, isn't it? I think Anthony Joshua, that is probably one of his weak points. And I compare him to Dillian Whyte purely because Dillian Whyte has lost 3 times by a vicious knockout each time. And you could argue...
Dillian Whyte's finished.
Yeah, exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
You could argue that last one was the name. He's done.
Yeah.
But mentally, he still seems as strong as ever. Even if physically his punch resistance is gone, he seems mentally as strong as ever. AJ, despite only being stopped once in his career, seems like he's missing a trick. But I think his new trainer, Derek James, will do him a world of good.
Yes, a lot of people don't see this, but he beat Tyson Fury, AJ.
Wow.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Because if I remember rightly, in 2010 he knocked Tyson Fury out in sparring.
When he was amateur, yeah.
He was an amateur, like, so that was in 2010, and I'm pretty sure that happened. Right, you know.
I think Tyson even said it on an interview. Tyson says a lot of things, to be fair.
Yeah. Like Tyson Fury, he boxed that Australian guy and he got beaten up. Like, it's only because he had the cut eye and that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Is it Otto Wallin? That one?
I don't know. I can't remember it. But like, you know, Tyson Fury is world champion, but I don't think that, you know, there's people out there beat him. You know?
That's a hot take. I can't wait. That's going in the thumbnail. That's going to be our quote of the day. I appreciate that one. I want to talk about your journey going pro. Now, I watched one of your videos earlier, and you mentioned how disappointed you were.
The platform that I'm on is semi-pro.
Yeah.
It's a semi-pro platform, obviously. I'm going to get an international, hopefully get this international pro license.
Okay.
Can't get an English boxing border control license because of my prison and stuff like that, you know. So I doubt I'd get that.
So what are your thoughts on that barrier to going pro? Because I see, is it Ty Mitchell? He similarly has gone prison for a different thing, and he can't get a pro license. But he argues that actually boxing is a route for him, you know, getting on his own 2 feet. But the board won't give him that. What are your thoughts?
Well, for me,
for you personally, yeah.
To be fair, I'm not really, like I said, my main reason why I started boxing again and training. I got out of jail 14 months ago, and my main reason I come out of jail, grossly overweight in a real bad place, mentally and physically, and obviously seeing Joe Joyce going where he is and that and all that, you know. So I just wanted to get my head down, dedicate myself to boxing again properly, and I still, up until 4 months ago, didn't think I was maybe too old now. I'm 43 now, so too old to do it. But my main reason why I done it was to fill that void of failure.
Yeah.
So I've always felt for years that I've failed. I could have done better. Obviously, if I dedicated, committed myself, you know, we can't turn back time. Yeah. So I wanted to fill that void in my life of failure, and dedicate myself and go and win, because this Quest Boxing League ain't it's a good.
That's what you're saying.
It's a good league, and they're going to bring people in to beat me. So for me, winning my first fight in 13 years, in February, that got rid of all failure, got rid of all doubt, everything out of my mind, because I dedicated myself for 14 months to boxing again, training hard and fighting, and I've gone out there and beat a really good seasoned pro. So now that failure, I know that I could have achieved what I wanted to. So that's my main reason why I started boxing again.
And that's really inspirational, because when
it's an amazing achievement.
Yeah, you're talking to yourself at that point.
Yeah,
you're saying,
look
at me, look what I can do. And that's really powerful. And I think, again, doing it at 43 as well is a major message in itself, because you're showing people, our listeners, that it's never too late to prove something to yourself.
No, that's right. Definitely not.
So boxing, that Quest League, you mentioned they're trying to bring someone in to beat you. And that's because obviously you got the AJ, the Joe Joyce on your resume, right?
Yeah, and they know they're boxing as well. So Alan Foley, who is the main guy that runs it all, it's his business. He I said to him, obviously, look, I want to box again, and they're like, oh yeah, Luke wants to box again. So they didn't sort of. And I said, I will dedicate myself. So he gave me the opportunity to box on there. So I'm not boxing 3-2s though. I want to box 4-2s. So they let me box 4-2s, and yeah, it's just, you know, the guys are getting in. They are, you know, they send me a video and I think, you know, look at it, but they're hard journeymen. Yeah, they're hard journeymen. But so the videos they send to me, they could be just so, you know, it's not their full potential. You know, when they're coming on the Quest, it's on TV. Yeah, it's going to be broadcasted. You know, right. So, and obviously they're getting in with someone with a lot of experience. So they are coming out to beat me.
I'm interested in why 4-2s and 4-3s and not 3-3s.
Because it's Quest, it's a faster platform. So right from the bells, it will go. You know, you don't have time to, like 12 threes. You know what I mean? Yeah. So when you're a pro, like, you'd have 3 rounds just looking around and, you know, checking each other out or taking it easy for the first few rounds. It's not. It's 4-2s and it's all go.
So what does that do to your training and then your mentality? If it's just go, 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 like
it's just a faster pace, isn't it? The boxing's at a faster pace, and you've only got 2 minutes and 4 rounds to prove what you need to prove. So yeah, right from the off, you've got to establish yourself in the first round.
So you mentioned in one of your videos that you posted on Facebook about being in the best shape ever.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
And could you explain what that looks like? As in, what's a day in the life of Luke Herdman 2.0? Now you're in the best shape of your life. What are you doing every day to stay in that shape?
I'm working every day as well, so I'm grafting as well. So,
wow, so you've got two careers going on.
I've got my own little flooring business, and obviously I come from London, got out of jail, and funny enough, 2 ministers, because when I was in jail, I was helping with the chaplaincy, with the church and that, and they offered me a room in Northampton. The chaplains, the 2 ministers from the church in Northampton, they said, "Luke, do you want to come and live with us?" So I come and lived in Northampton. I don't know anyone around here, so I just set up base here, set up my business, and so I'm up at 5:30 every morning, and then I'll be training, do an hour's cardio before I do anything, and I've also got to walk my dog and that as well, and then and that's it. I'll go to work, and then obviously I'm now training at Camberley Boxing Club on Sundays. I'm at King's Heath.
Okay, yeah.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, sparring with the lads down there. So yeah, I'm just training every day, but my whole body is so from 14 months ago, my whole body now is just like a different machine. You know, it's like I would never thought my shape and I never believed I could get as fit as I am now.
What's the diet look like?
Quite amazing. Yeah, my diet at some point so I have like 6 meals a day, like 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
Yes.
So and there's always got to have protein in each meal, and then that's it really. That's
that heavyweight diet. We've spoken to a few fighters who are considerably lighter than yourself, and they talk about the plights of making weight. Does it feel good to just be a heavyweight and not have to make weight?
Not really, no, because I want to look good when I'm.
Fair enough.
It doesn't mean like eat what you want. You know, I want to be an athlete. You know, I want to look good as a heavyweight. I don't want to be a fat heavyweight.
Yeah.
You know, what's the point in that? You know?
Fair enough. I think the UFC was on last night, and there was a couple of heavyweights on the card, and basically they're middleweights who were just lazy, who haven't eaten right, haven't trained right, and it shows physically. So it's interesting that despite not having a weight to make on paper, you still want to keep yourself in both phically good shape, but also
18 stone
aesthetically.
I am, but I need to drop. I've also stopped dairy as well recently.
Okay, same.
So I'm just it's quite hard work that. I thought it'd be easy, but it's not. So I'm stopping dairy. Well, I have stopped dairy. And so there's a couple more key come off.
Nice.
But yeah, just in real good shape, and just keep plodding along, ready to go again in September.
So you said you had 2 fights in 2 months.
I've had 2 fights in 2 months, yeah.
Both wins.
Yeah.
And you're back out again in September.
Back out in September, yeah.
What's the goals with Quest?
Now?
Yeah, what's your vision?
My vision now is just to motivate people and be a bit of an inspiration, and especially someone that's had a life of drugs and crime, and I've had a right messy life, you know what I mean, and a lot of battles in my life. So it's just really a bit of a testimony to show other people what you can actually do, just to motivate people, keep fit, keep healthy, and just keep going for my own fitness. It's not about any money or anything like that. It's just a motivational thing, really. That's it now. I've obviously the first fight, that was for myself.
Yeah.
To get rid of that failure out of my life, and I've done that, so I'm at peace with that. And now going forward is just a keep fit thing, I suppose.
Are you proud of yourself, Luke?
Yeah.
I can see it, man.
Yeah.
I can see it. I can see that. It's super important when you're telling yourself that I can do it, I will do it, and now you've done it. Yeah. That's gonna last forever.
Yeah. 100%.
And the fights are on YouTube as well, so they'll last forever.
Yeah.
So you can say to people, look, I did this. You know what I mean?
That's good. Yeah.
Wicked.
And my kids as well, my 3 boys. I haven't really seen them a lot. So and I'm seeing them a lot now, and they're
brilliant, man.
Really inspired by their heavyweights.
Yeah,
They
of
spar
course.
on me and they can hit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's going to be good. So they're going to be good. You know what I mean?
Love that. They have a mentor.
Yeah.
You can show them.
Yeah,
And also, being 43 and dedicating yourself and your diet and your training, you can lead by example.
100%.
That's brilliant, man. Let's talk about the division. So we've spoken about Joyce, AJ. How do you think someone like you with your style and your attributes would fare against Zhang?
I won't fight him.
Smart move, man.
Yeah.
Smart move. Swerve that one.
I'll spar with him, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I wouldn't fight him. I'm not, you know, I'm doing all right as where I am, but you know, it's like, you know, they've been at it for years and years in training, dedicating.
Yeah.
So I know as a fight, I spar with Nick Webb. Nick Webb's a good friend.
Oh
of
yeah,
mine.
yeah.
Yeah,
Is
so
he from Brighton? Is it?
He's from Brighton, yeah.
Yeah.
So I spar with Nick Webb regularly. You know, he's a good friend of mine.
And he's massive as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a lump. Yeah, so he's 6'7". He's like 130 kg, and yeah, he's been really helpful to spar with, and he was at my first fight.
Brilliant, man.
So yeah, so I spar with Nick, and you know, Nick's dangerous. He's a good fighter.
Yeah, and you're around, so that'll mean you're around like Scott Welch and that type of people as well.
Scott Welch, yeah, Scott Welch. Before I went to jail, I got myself fit. So it's always been my motivation to get back in the ring. And before I went to jail, I was in good shape, but not as good shape as now. And Scott Welch, because I was sparring with Nick a lot, Scott Welch had invited me down for a sparring session. And I think there's a Polish guy called Kamil
Sokolowski or something like that,
So
yeah.
I sparred with him. I've done really well against him.
Because he used to be European champion, I'm sure.
Yeah, he boxed Dillian White and
Chisora as well.
And Nick Webb. Yeah. So I sparred with him, and Scott Welch was in my corner for 2 rounds there. Yeah. So, but yeah, it was good. It was good.
Go on.
Yeah. So that's it. Really, it's just a keep fit thing now, and just to motivate people, and that's it. And obviously share my testimony of where I've come from, and also my love for God as well. You know, because if you put God centre of your life, the centre of what you're doing, He will always help you. You know what I mean?
And you're living proof of that.
100%.
Last couple of things. Just want to mention Wilder. Thoughts on Wilder? Where does he go? Obviously, he's lost those 3 fights to Fury. Where does he go next? Do you think he beats people like Joshua, Joyce, Usyk even?
If Joshua gets hit by Wilder, I think he's gone, isn't he?
Yeah.
If anyone gets hit by Wilder, he's gone. But Andy Ruiz will beat Wilder.
Okay.
100%.
Because there are rumours about that fight, isn't there?
I don't know, but Andy Ruiz, he's slippery. Like, the way he's so sharp, the way he moves.
Speed in his hands is mental, yeah.
So
I want to see that fight. That will be a good fight to see because of, like you say.
Yeah, you see what we done to Ortiz.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Ortiz is what a good fight.
Yeah.
A proper fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and look, let's get it right. Like Joshua and Tyson Fury, no matter what Tyson Fury says, he'll fight anyone here and back. Listen, he's protecting a lot of assets. Right? He is not going to risk.
They're businesses, aren't they?
Yeah. He's not going to risk. You know what I mean? That's why he didn't fight Usyk. You know,
Fury probably has, I don't know, 10 million plus riding on being undefeated, if not more. The whole idea of being undefeated makes him an extra 10 mil per fight. So for him to risk it, like you say, fighting an AJ, fighting a Usyk it's not a good business move. I mean, as fans, as SOFA Senseis, from my perspective, I want to see those fights, but from a business perspective,
it's like
I understand.
when Tyson Fury took on Deontay Wilder, he knew he's only got to avoid
The right hand.
The right hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like with Usyk, he's got to avoid. Usyk would have beat him.
Yeah.
It'd be like hitting a big punch bag.
Yeah. And getting out of the way.
Every time Tyson Fury's thrown a shot, I believe that Usyk would have hit him fall back.
Yeah.
You know? So.
Right. One more thing I want to pick up on before I get to the last question is around, you mentioned Julian Francis at the start there. And obviously we saw that big viral video of him as a doorman at Box Park. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Because...
So you knocked someone out, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly that. And he lost his job initially, but then the owner of Box Park said, wait there, have you seen the video? Like, he did what he had to do, and it's about that preemptive strike. And obviously, as a man who's fought Mike Tyson, he's a heavyweight and all that sort of stuff, he knows how to handle himself. But have you ever worked on the doors? Is that ever something you've experienced? And, you know, people, once they have a few drinks, you know, they think they're heavyweights, but like you say, with your skill, has that ever been in a scenario you've encountered like that?
Yeah, but he wasn't getting attacked, was he?
I think the guy.
He was just running his mouth.
Yeah.
And just making a bit of a disturbance and just phone the police on it.
Right. Okay. Cool. So that would have been one where you say, "All right."
Just phone if you're
Yeah.
And the guy's like tiny, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a small guy. Yeah.
You know what I mean, he was pointing at a tiny guy.
Yeah. But it's one of them things. It divides opinions.
And listen, if you're a trained fighter and someone's off their nut in the street, they don't see the punch coming.
Right.
Your body, the nervous system doesn't send a message to the brain quick enough
to get out of the way.
So you're going to get knocked spark out. Concrete floors and being outside. It's just not worth
big
it.
risks.
I mean, yeah. If he would have gone down and not woken up,
different conversation we're having right now.
100%. So yeah, there was no point in hitting him personally.
I appreciate your viewpoint on that one because the internet has a divided opinion. You mentioned it yourself in the comments section of that video about Joe Joyce and Anthony Joshua. People have divided opinions, and it's good to be a Sofa Sensei here and have your opinion on that, given that you yourself are a heavyweight semi-pro boxer, and then Julian Francis, of course, has his career as well. The last thing I want to touch on is around the lessons you'd like to give our listeners for this episode. Now, I think you've got a story that can inspire many, many people. Again, I'll go back to it. That self-belief part is really, really important. And also, I want to say the word forgiveness as well. Forgiving yourself for your past and some of the things that, maybe you made the wrong decision on. But I'd also lean on the fact that actually everything you did got you to this moment right now.
100%.
And that's really important. So what's your message to the listeners?
Mainly just for young people, really, innit? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for young people, especially to mum and dad, if there's kids that are in any sort of trouble, messing around the streets, with all the knives and all the rest of it, and get them into a boxing club, get them into the nearest boxing club, and take them there 3 times a week, and get them boxing and get them into something. You know what I mean? And don't let them hang around on the street. Don't let them hang around on the street and get in trouble, So, boxing, boxing saved my life. I mean, many times on the street, the fact that I knew how to box when I did get in trouble on the street and I had to defend myself, I've never ever been a bully in my life, so, but I've never lost a street fight either.
Yeah.
So, so it does help. It helps for self-defense, it helps for a lot of things, but also, and that self-belief, that could have only come from, it's like now I'm 43 and I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm like, it's madness, It's like everything was set out. Set out for me. There's a reason why I'm not bothered about that anymore. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's just the way it is. But yeah, the main message is to just get your kids into boxing. Boxing's a great thing.
And I know I said that was the last question, but you mentioned about just staying off the street. And I want to ask you a really obvious question. Are the streets worth it?
No, definitely not, no.
Cool. I appreciate your answer.
I mean, I've got 3 boys and I can see that they're, the way they talking and this and that, but they also know not, they're going boxing, they're getting themselves into it, and if I see that they're up to no good, then at some point you can only do so much, can't you? But yeah, you just got to get them into boxing, or it doesn't have to be boxing, does it? It could be any sort of self-defense. It could be karate, it could be jiu-jitsu, it could be any of them things, just get your kids into doing something rather than, being lazy and just letting them go out and do what they want. Yeah,
because badness will always find its way, and it's about, do you have that frame of reference, that discipline, the role models to say, no, you know what, I've got boxing to go to, or I've got taekwondo to go to, and I can't get involved in it.
And my mum and dad brought me up well. I don't know what when they brought me up well. Not in this day and age. The kids are like 4, 5 years old, just glued to
screens,
screens and stuff. So they're gonna, it's gonna be a massive problem soon.
Yeah,
it already is.
Because I wonder in those situations, you can't watch what your kid's watching all day on screen. You don't know what's popping up and what's entering their minds.
No,
and
that's right.
At that age, they may not be able to interpret it anyway. in a positive way. So who knows? But that has been Sofa Sensei's on the akhi&saltfish Digital Network. That time has flown by. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Just let the people know where they can find you on Instagram, on Facebook. Where can they get in touch with you?
Luke Herdman boxing.
Yeah.
It's Luke Herdman boxing on Instagram and Luke Herdman on Facebook.
Make sure you check him out, and don't forget as well, you can do your research on Luke by checking out YouTube. The fight with Anthony Joshua's there, and the fight with Joe Joyce, is that there as well?
It is, yeah, but it's someone, I think someone else has put it on there, so it hasn't got a lot of views and all that.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Check it out. Score the fight. Put your thoughts in the comments because I scored it for Luke. So let me know your thoughts. Listen, that has been Sofa Sensei's. This is the akhi&saltfish Digital Network, and I've been Kavan. So make sure you follow us on Instagram at Sofa Sensei's and Twitter, TikTok, all those great things, akhi&saltfish. If you want to get in touch, leave us a comment or ask us a question, you can email akhi&saltfish@gmail.com and we'll get straight back to you. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all those wonderful things. And most importantly, please share this conversation with a friend because Luke touched on some really important things there and I don't want them to miss it. So without further ado, stay tuned in for next week's part 2 where we get to know Luke a little bit more. Take care.
Is that right?
Perfect, man.